welcome to the podcast, Can You Take My Shift? Your favorite coworkers are off the clock and back for another episode.
I have nothing prepared. I have no intro prepared. But it's okay. I don't have an intro prepared, but that's okay. Because today we are on time, we are ready for the podcast, and we're doing fine, 'cause we've got a show for you. Yes, it's true. Hoo-hoo. Ooh. Thank you so much. I'd like to dedicate this podcast intro to Shakira, who may be going to prison. Ole, ole, ole.
I think she is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she is.
I'm pretty sure she is. I'm so sorry, Shakira. You cannot. Your hips apparently do lie because you committed tax fraud.
Yeah. But welcome back, everyone, to the podcast. Your friends Amy and Kelsey are here to give you an episode on the correct day at the correct time. Who would have?
Hi, Trainer Red. Sorry, thank you so much for the resub. I appreciate you.
Amy throwing off my flow there. All right.
Sorry.
Gotta get back in the groove. All right, sounds good. But yes, thank you, hello everybody, for being here. Your two best friends are here to share the news. And as from my title, see, I put up titles, Amy just goes like episode number.
Because you don't tell me the titles you're going to put up. So
this is, oh no, HBO. That is the working title.
Oh.
Because as you and many people are on the internet, if you're on the internet right now, good on ya.
Welcome to the cesspool.
Exactly. Welcome to hell. Party of one, please. So, I would like to say that this year has brought me some joy, some sadness, some excellent shows, and some terrible shows. And that has to do with the streaming wars that we're kind of in. So we are in a weird time in television. So if you are in your 20s, you most likely grew up with cable. Your parents had cable. There was the basic cable package. So if you were a child growing up in Canada, the basic cable package, you only got, I think, to like channel 25. So you didn't get the Family Channel, you didn't get Teletoon. You had to watch everything on channel, for me it was 22. That was like SpongeBob.
Oh, that would have been like YTV.
Yes, YTV. The only kids channel you got besides Sunday morning cartoons was YTV.
Yes.
If your family paid a little bit more, then you got Teletoon, you got the Family Channel, you got Treehouse, you may have had some sports packages, but don't worry, everybody had the French channel.
Oh yeah, I would literally watch Spider-Man cartoons in French. Yeah. That's how I knew about Spider-Man growing up, because it was free to watch on TV, and no matter where you went, every channel would have it. So.
Mm-hmm. And then as we moved further along, you would go to the movie rental store, Blockbuster, or like Rogers Video, or all the independent ones. And then the entity that Netflix came about. So I'm only talking about paid content. I know streaming and torrenting and ripping off stuff has always been a thing.
Yes, that's a whole other ball game, and everyone's done it at least once. So
exactly,
it's fine. We're not gonna rat out on anybody.
Yeah, we know you've danced with the LimeWire.
Yeah. Oh yes, and we all our computers have paid for it.
Exactly, but Netflix came on the scene, and I remember the very first thing I watched on Netflix, one of their key shows, Orange is the New Black. I watched Netflix on my Nintendo Wii.
Oh yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because the Wii had an app for Netflix, because you had to have an app to watch Netflix, or you had to watch it on your computer. You couldn't just watch it from your TV. So that's the only way I could watch Netflix, was from the Wii. And then, so Netflix kind of dominated, well, not kind of, they did.
They absolutely dominated.
They absolutely dominated. They became a household name. And then with their originals, and Netflix was the key, like, king of the castle. They were the top entity. And then, as we've seen in the last 5-10 years, all the other companies now want to be Netflix. So they have come out. It's went from them selling their stuff to Netflix to all of them going, hey, we need a streaming service. So we got Amazon, we got Apple TV, we got Disney Plus. That was the really big one that came out. And then now there's Paramount Plus. There's
Discovery Plus.
There's HBO Max. There's every, like,
there's so many from so many different companies, and it's so hard to keep track. Like, there's Crave, which is a specific Canadian one, and then I know there's like an Australian streaming service that's also essentially like Australia's Crave. So some regions even have their own like specific streaming services. Like, I don't know, Kelsey, if you ever had this one with your parents. Did you ever have Show Me?
No.
Okay, so that was like the one that was like Rogers and Shaw, and it came out the exact same time that Netflix was around. So my aunt had Netflix and she had Show Me, and I remember like Show Me was like essentially like super early Crave. It had like anything that was on like cable, because
I had like the global apps, the CTV apps, where you could watch their shows if you had cable.
Yeah, so Show Me essentially had all like the TV shows, because Netflix in Canada has always had better movies, but then
worse shows.
Yeah, but worse shows. So Show Me had all the shows, and then I remember I used to watch so much stuff on that app, and then they discontinued it. It was only around for like a year and a bit, and I was so upset. So R.I.P. Show Me. But
and
there's
then,
so many.
Do you remember the short-lived Quibi?
R.I.P. Quibi.
R.I.P. Quibi.
And that came out like dirt. The funniest thing about Quibi, for those who don't know, it was a mobile streaming service. So everything was formatted to fit your phone, so you could take it on the go. And it came out right when the pandemic hit, and there was like some kind of like cool sounding shows on it, and there was a bunch of celebrities that like had TV shows on it. So there was a lot of money sunk into this little app, and it just completely bombed. It did so horribly, because everyone was at home, and even though they were on their phones, they didn't want to watch things on their phone. If you're at home and you have a TV or a laptop or a desktop computer, you're gonna watch shows on there.
Exactly.
So
what are you gonna watch on your phone? TikToks.
Yeah.
Because if you have the attention span to watch something longer than that, you're gonna watch it on your TV or your laptop.
I'm not gonna lie, I do find it really weird when I see people on like the SkyTrain like loading up a Netflix episode. Because for me, I'm like, I don't think I could sit there for the full like however long and just like only pay attention to that Netflix show. But that's also just like my attention span, and also my like nervousness of missing my stop.
I will watch episodes of Criminal Minds on the bus, but that's because it's what I like, having a show that I feel comfortable stopping and starting it all the time. Like it's not that it's so gripping that I need to plan my day around watching it.
Yeah, see, for me, I'm like, I pay attention, so I'm gonna miss my stop.
But with all these streaming services, there has been lots of competition, and Netflix is, for the first time ever, losing subscribers. And before we get into HBO Max, the biggie, I want to talk about Netflix, because I have some bones to pick with Netflix first.
Oh.
So, Netflix has been losing subscribers. They also say they're going to crack down on password sharing. Do I pay for Netflix? No, I use my father's. Although so Trevor and I have been dog sitting for 3 weeks, and we wanted to watch Netflix, but they weren't logged into their Netflix account downstairs. So Trevor's like, I'll just pay for Netflix. I'm like, no, you're not paying for Netflix. And he's like, well, I use my Omi and Opies, and then they're gonna charge them more if we're password sharing. I'm like, no, they're not actually gonna do that yet. That's just what they keep threatening. It's like when your parents go, I'm gonna take it away. I'm gonna take the toy away. Like, I know they'll eventually do it. But right now, like, we'll still fuck around with it while they're just threatening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so he's like, I'm just gonna pay for it. Because so I have quite a few streaming services. I only pay for 2. So my dad pays for Netflix and Crave. Amy and I split Amazon Prime.
Yep.
And then Amy, Kaylee, and Traveler and I split Disney Plus.
Yeah, because we pay for the family plan for that one.
Yeah. And you pay for Apple.
I do. I keep forgetting to cancel, but there's a couple really good, decent shows on Apple TV, like Ted Lasso.
So around your heart.
Oh, he really does. He's so great. Oh, I love that man. I don't love a lot of men, but that man has my heart. So Apple TV gets my money. Although they did just come out with a movie that was produced by... It's funny because in all their branding, I kept seeing this new commercial for this movie called Lucky, and in all their branding...
Get away from that movie.
But do you notice in their branding it all says from like the creative minds of from the creative minds behind Toy Story and Cars?
Oh God, it's not a Lasseter film, is it?
It is, because it's produced by Skydance, and Skydance was the company that picked him up.
For those who don't know, John Lasseter is a disgusting
piece
sex
of
offender.
Garbage.
Okay, yep. There's 2 ways.
Kelsey's really mean about. I mean, like he 100% is like he's a terrible, terrible person, and I'm happy he got ousted from Pixar. And even I think Emma Thompson was almost going to be in the Lucky movie. I think it was Emma Thompson. And she wrote like a whole op-ed piece being like, I dropped out of this movie. Essentially because of, like, as soon as she found out it was John Lasseter, she was like, absolutely not.
No.
Nope.
No. That's the thing. If celebrities are going to be very outspoken about, hey, I'm not, I don't know. Stick to your guns. Like, there's this whole thing with another director, and like Taylor Swift is working with him, and it's like, you're so outspoken about, women and like sexual and this like, I can't get into it because it's not on topic and it will make me mad. But yeah, maybe celebrities, when you say you're gonna do something, do it. But that's people in general, I believe, when people say they're not going to work with sexual predators, they abide by that. Because I understand, I don't ever blame people who they've worked with them before they've known. Because if it's before they were, for example, I have been in a movie with someone who got the director. No, he wasn't the director. He was like the writer and the star. He got accused of sexual harassment towards students because he used to be the creative director at the school I worked at. It wasn't this current school. It was the place he had worked before. And I had worked with him like 3 years before this, and I had no idea. And I'm not gonna blame myself for working with him.
Well, because you had no idea.
Exactly.
If you go into it having like no idea, but if this person, like, if all this knowledge is like very public information, like with John Lasseter.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if a company's going to be shitty and try to hide it from you, kind of like how they're trying to hide the fact that John Lasseter produced this movie, I guess, like, at that form, like, there is only so much you can do, and sometimes, like, if you work for a company and you're forced to be put on a project, I can't hold that against you either, because that's how you have to make your living, right? Like,
well, I call it paycheck blindness.
Yeah.
For the right amount of money, you suddenly can't read.
Yeah. Oh no.
You suddenly can't see or use Google for just the right amount of money, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that was a little bit off topic. So we will
That's okay.
get back in line.
Yeah, but yes, Amy pays for Apple TV on her own.
On my own.
Because I refuse to pay for Apple TV because I don't watch a damn show on there. Actually, well, we tried. I never finished Dickinson.
I got a little bit further than you. I still haven't finished the show, although it is quite cute. And it's gay, so it was great.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes, but gays, speaking of gays, hi gay.
Hi, gay.
So, Netflix, here's another reason. So, Netflix wonders why they're losing subscribers, why they're laying off a bunch of people. Maybe it's because you keep canceling shows after their first season, canceling good shows, and a lot of the shows they cancel have kind of one thing in common. They're all have gays. They have like
yeah, I was gonna say specifically.
Yeah, specifically women-loving women gays.
Yeah.
They keep canceling these great shows that have women-loving women representation, and even if they're doing well, or if they have good numbers, if they're critically acclaimed, they are not promoting their shows, and they are not doing a good job. So the first show that really, because there's been a lot of good shows that are canceled, and then there's been some movies that do not need a sequel. Why the fuck are there 3 Kissing Booth movies? I finally watched the third one.
Why would you do that
week.
to yourself?
I needed something that if like the dogs barked, that I wasn't gonna like get mad that I had to keep pausing it.
Oh, that's fair.
And that movie barely has any plot. Like, there's such a bad movie. Like okay, I understand making the first one, because like the first one is like super like bad tropey, but you know, it's kind of cute in its own way. But like the second and third one are just unnecessary. They're just like fan fiction that has no stakes.
Yeah.
Why is there a tall girl too? I have not seen that.
Oh god, I refuse.
Yeah.
The first one was bad enough.
Yeah. So, when they canceled Julie and the Phantoms, I was upset.
That show was so good too.
That show was so good. It had the 2 main female characters were both women of color.
Mm-hmm.
They had one of the other main characters was an openly gay man who there was no like stupid coming out. He was just out. His friends all accepted him. He had an adorable romantic plot line with Boo Boo Stewart.
So cute.
Who is also a person of color.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it was cute. It was wholesome. It had no reason to be as good as it was.
It had great music.
It had great music. It was, if you were younger or older, you could both find enjoyment. The worst thing about it was they filmed it in Vancouver and said it was California, but you can very much see that it's Vancouver.
Yeah, well, especially like since we're from Vancouver, we actually I was at Kitsilano Beach, and I with Cleffa, and I was literally like, I know you haven't seen Julie and the Phantoms, but this is where it was filmed.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah, I walked past the Orpheum and I was like, yeah, that's where the boys were.
Yeah, I'm like, they sat on that sign.
So even though the show was wildly watched, wildly critically acclaimed, like Charlie, what's his name, was the white boy of the month.
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah. No, they cancel it. And it was like by Kenny Ortega, which Kenny Ortega of High School Musical, of Descendants, like
he can make a show.
Yeah. But I don't think it would have been as good as if they had made it a Disney Plus show.
Yeah, it probably would have done really well there.
Yeah, it would have done really well there, but I think he wouldn't have gotten to explore some things. Like, when it came out, I think now, if he made it now, because even, like, they're exploring things more with, like, High School Musical, the series, season 3.
Yep.
So, sorry, I have to say the whole title.
You do.
Yeah, now, like, Disney Plus is exploring things a little more once they got once they got Star.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more, like, And I mean, like, also Disney is also just trying to, like, shrill their product a little bit more. Like, let's, like, as much as we, like, I will always give Disney credit, and then, like, you'll shoot me down. So, like, I'm gonna shoot you down a little bit. Like,
Okay.
of course they're gonna, like, try to, like, expand a little bit more. Although, like, Disney could, like, probably just pick up Julie and the Phantoms. Could they not?
Well, now, once a show, I mean, they could, but once a show gets canceled, it has to kind of go through, depending on the contract, is if they can move it. Like, for example, Brooklyn Nine-Nine was owned by Fox. It got canceled and then got picked up by NBC.
Right.
But that, it has to all do with contracts, whether or not a show can be picked up. Just like One Day at a Time was canceled, and then I can't remember who picked it up, but I think that streaming service is, like, gone now. It was like Pop TV or something. It was something weird. So I haven't seen, like, the last season of
One Day at a Time.
One Day at a Time.
Yeah.
Because I really liked that show.
Yeah, that was actually the first show I watched with Cleffa, and it was really good. I really did.
Yeah. So Netflix, now, after canceling one of my favorite shows, has decided you've got a gay that is not a white gay couple. We're going to cancel your show. Off it goes. For example, so two shows came out around like a couple months apart. So there was Heartstopper, which is critically acclaimed. It's based off some graphic novels, and it is such a sweet, lovely show.
Yes.
And I watched it all in one day with Traveler, and Traveler is like, "Yeah, I've seen this. Like, this will be my 4th time watching it." And I was like, "Oh, do you want me to put on something else?" "No, I'm fine."
It's a great show.
Yeah, no, it's so cute and it's so wholesome, and it was very sweet, and I love it. And again, critically acclaimed. Everybody on the internet was talking about it. Nick Nelson, I don't know the actor's real name, was also Twitter's White Boy of the Month.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, while at this time, we decided, because it was June, it was Pride Month, we were gonna do our best to only consume LGBTQIA plus media. So Netflix said they were coming out with a show. It was a lesbian vampire show. They barely advertised it.
Yeah, I think we found out about it like a week before it came out, and it wasn't even from Netflix. It was from like Variety or some random like Twitter publication. And I was like, what is this? I was like, is this gonna be like some like Twilight nonsense, or like what are we getting here?
Mm-hmm. So it was called First Bite, and Amy, Traveler, Cleffa, and I, we sat down and we watched this entire show. Not in one day. I think we spread it over 3 days.
2 days. It's First Kill.
First Kill. Sorry, First Kill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we sat down, and the first episode, not great. To be honest, not great. But we decided we have lesbian representation. One of the couple is a woman of color, and then like it's a very diverse cast. It's about like it was Romeo and Juliet. Well, it was. It's Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet with vampires.
Yeah, and like Romeo's family were like vampire killers. 1 second, I have to cough. Oh, sorry about that.
You're okay.
And Juliet's family were vampires. Except I think she was Juliet, but was her name Calliope instead of Romeo?
Yes. Yeah, the one girl's name was Juliet, and then they just called her Calliope, which is not a name in Romeo and Juliet at all. It's just a Greek name. Yeah. Which, whatever. Not that important, but yes.
Yeah. And you know what? The show did get better. It started off rocky, but it got better. And you know what? We were enthralled. We could kind of see where they were going.
Mm-hmm.
The main couple were really cute.
They were, and it was my favorite trope, enemies to lovers. So it was getting really, really, really good. And it was fun to see like the family dynamics of it all. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like the woman who plays Calliope's mother was amazing. I think she was one of the best characters in the show.
Yeah, she really was.
The thing was, before streaming services, it was very common with a lot of TV shows that the first season was always kind of rocky.
Yeah.
So Parks and Rec is one of my favorite shows. first season sucks ass. It is not good.
It's like the same with The Office. The first season of The Office is often deemed like absolutely like unwatchable, and people are so shocked it even like got picked up at all after like how bad that season was.
It's very rare that when in like cable times the first season was the best season. It's very rare. But with streaming services, like one of the only shows that I can think to like the first season was the best season for me is Glee.
Yeah, Glee was really good.
The first season was really good. Went downhill after that.
Now we're in the Glee timeline. Have you seen this? I don't like it. I don't like this timeline.
We're in the Glee alternate universe. But so Netflix has now decided that if a first season is not perfection, they don't give it a second season. But now it's all about numbers and algorithms. So, for example, even though First Kill did double the amount of watch time that Heartstopper did, they decided it wasn't enough and it didn't hit their goalpost. And I was reading an interview with the creator, and she was like, the main reason why it failed is you guys did like no promotion for this, and you only promoted the fact that it was sexy lesbian vampires. You didn't promote the fact that her family was like monster hunters, and her family dynamic, because she has two brothers, and it's very much about family and like the families fighting, but also the internal struggle within the families. But no, it's like, ooh, sexy ladies, we kiss, mwah, 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 mwah. Like that's all Netflix advertised, not anything to do about anything else. Yeah,
which I understand is like supposed to be somewhat of a draw, right? But like when you look at the advertising for like Heartstopper, very sweet, very subtle, very soft. Obviously, First Kill and Heartstopper, two very different shows. So I think they were trying to market it more along the lines of like how Vampire Diaries was like kind of marketed when it came out, that like darker kind of edginess. But there wasn't at least enough marketing like at all.
Yeah, and the thing is like they also did not give them a great budget. Some of the special effects were awful, but you know what? Yeah. They worked with what they could. And it was enjoyable. It was camp, and I enjoyed it, and I really wanted a second season.
And it really sucks too, because like you said earlier, shows have a terrible first season, and usually it gets better, and it just sucks because like all these shows with like lesbian representation just automatically get canceled. We don't even get a shot. There's so many shows that are so terrible that are super similar to the plotline of First Kill that got picked up. But no, we
exactly.
We don't
like, why did we need 27,000 seasons of Vampire Diaries? Why do we need 8 seasons of Riverdale?
God, don't even. They have something on that cast. I swear to God.
Oh, they all sold their souls in that cast. But that's the thing. That is what happens with marginalized people and communities. Is these higher ups are like, oh, it did bad. We don't make female-led movie. It sucked. Like, women, we're allowed to put out crappy content with non-traditional leads and still make more movies. I don't know how many shitty comedies are starring white dude number 5, and yet they keep making them.
Yeah. Like why is not having sex between lesbian vampires enough?
Like, exactly. How many terrible sitcoms of fat husband who hates his attractive wife
here's a quick subline from an article that just said like, here are all the LGBTQ shows that got canceled in 2022. It's a list of about, I think, like 6 shows got canceled this year. But the subline is 2.5 Men ran for 12 seasons and 262 episodes. Let that sink in. Nobody needed that. I mean,
no, God, no. Even after Charlie Sheen left, they're still like, yeah, we can make this work.
Yeah, we can make this work. Like, Family Guy is still running, and I saw a clip from it the other day, and they kind of made, like, it was a transphobic joke. And it was not, like, no, not that any of those jokes are, like, good at all, but, like, it was just, it was not great, and I was like, how are they still making this show? In 2022, like, it just, It's like, you know, when, like, people won't retire.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can still do my job, it's fine. And they do, like, a quarter of their work in a day, and you're like,
And that quarter you have to correct.
Yeah, like, just go home, Grandma.
Yeah.
Like, go retire. We will buy you
Yeah.
a cake and send you on your way. It's okay. We can make room for better quality content. And there's been enough, you know, normal love shown on television. Let us have some queer love on TV. Like, even, what was it? There was that show, was it Pose?
Yes.
That was an HBO show, wasn't it?
Yeah, Pose and Generation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, South Park is still on too.
Oh god.
They're gonna, like, these shows are just gonna, like, run forever at this point. But Pose was, like, critically acclaimed. And I never watched the show, but all the clips I saw, I was like, these women are so insanely powerful, and I love them. And it got canceled.
Yeah.
I think maybe the show got, like, an ending, but, like, people wanted more. It was a popular show.
And that, sorry, but, like, what, before you get to the rest of your list, it should be allowed to make things that are not perfection. And I think a lot of problem is with the rise of, like, cinema sins and screen rants. It's people constantly picking apart things, and people love to point out what's wrong with movies. And, like, yeah, plot holes are a thing. They are a thing. But you know what? Sometimes I just want to enjoy something, and I don't want to think about it too much.
Yeah. Like, I don't mind, like, some cinema sins if you're just, like, poking fun. That's totally fine. But if you're, like, making fun of it for, like, the foundation of, like, that the movie is supposed to be, then you're just being mean.
Yeah.
Like, it's not fair at that point. So, no, just a lot of it was all shows we've already, like, talked about, like First Kill and all those ones. It was, like, 6 shows. Honestly, these shows I hadn't even heard of.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show also how badly marketed they are.
Yeah. Because before it was kill the gays. Like, if you had any show that had a gay character, they ended up dying. And then now it's just gone from kill the gays to, still kill the gays or cancel them after the first season.
Yeah, it's literally now just, like, bury the whole show at this point.
Yeah.
Like, they're taking that term way too literally. And it's not fair. Like, we want representation. We deserve representation. You know? I don't know. Are they, like, I guess people are scared, like, oh, it's going to turn our children. No. We all watched, like, thousands of, like, straight TV shows growing up. Both of us are not straight.
You should be more worried about military propaganda.
Yeah.
Top Gun was so good for military propaganda. They literally had, like, military recruiters outside of the movie theater.
Yeah.
So that's what you should be worried about.
Yeah.
Oh no, like, oh yeah, this is the sexy lesbian vampires are gonna turn your daughters gay, but you might want to look at your sons who are selling their bodies to the government to go die.
Yeah.
You know. So that just makes me mad because there's this whole thing. So Netflix again cancels shows with representation, but then puts out this movie that they're heavily promoting called Purple Hearts. Have you heard of this one?
Oh, yeah. I watched the trailer for it, and I was like, oh, this is now some, like, army propaganda movie. And then, like...
it 100% is.
But then it has that, like, twist of, like... I mean, I guess spoilers for anyone who wants to watch the movie, but, like, the twist is, like, the girl's only with the guy because she needs health insurance.
So, I watched it because I wanted to know what... Because I've seen things on Twitter go viral, and people are like, this is completely out of context. So the premise of the movie, it's like enemies to lovers, fake marriage.
Yes.
Those are the tropes. So the main girl is Latina. She has diabetes. She is like a starving artist. She can't afford insulin because in the US, you can't afford life-saving medication, so fuck that. So she asks her childhood best friend, who is in the Marines, to marry her so she can get health care. He doesn't want to marry her because he wants to marry his girlfriend. So she's like, yeah, no, that's fine. The dude, who she first cannot stand, who is another one of the Marines, he's an ex-junkie who owes his drug dealer money. So if you get married in the military, you get an extra amount. You get more money if you're married. So that's why like people in the military get married very fast, very quickly. It's because they want the more money.
Mm-hmm.
So she needs money for her she needs healthcare for her diabetes. He needs money to pay off his drug dealer. So they get married like the day before he ships out. Like they barely know each other. Then there's this scene where the one of the other Marines goes, "Oh, we're gonna go and kill some goddamn Arabs." That's literally word for word what he says. And then she has this she's like has this fight with him, and it's very like performative. Like her character is played like by Sophia, I think it's Caruso.
Sophia Carson?
Carson, yeah. She's in the Descendants movie. She's Evie. And the whole activism is like she's wearing like a shirt that says like the future is female, but everything is very performative feminism because it's basically just like conservative military propaganda because he's like a conservative Marine, and she's supposed to be like a liberal. Like she has like a pride flag and a Black Lives Matter flag hanging off her window, and then once they get married she hangs like an American flag beside it, and it's very awkward and performative. And then the two of them end up falling in love after he gets hurt, and then but he gets reported to like the military police because like that's a felony if you fake marry for healthcare.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So he ends up like going to prison for 6 months because he's like, oh, because she can go to prison too. So he's like, she had nothing to do with it. I coerced her into it. And she's like, I do love you. I do want to be with you after she becomes a pop star. And it's just like they never ever sort out like their issues. He's still a fucking conservative fuck. And then she's just like okay with it. But like it's just like, and the thing like they had so many like the cinematography was nice. All the music that she wrote for the film was like really nice. Her acting was, most of the acting was really well done. But I'm like, you kind of have some stupid propaganda here.
Yeah, they're just gonna let's like and it was like the thinnest veil.
Yeah.
Over it too.
Exactly. And like they never sort out their differences. Like they're just it's and then Netflix is just like pushing this shit.
Because it's easy to push. Because people are gonna watch it. They're gonna be like, oh, look at this cute love story. Like they married for the wrong reasons. Like wasn't it like, I don't know, the tagline was something like wrong timing, or I don't know, something stupid like that.
I don't know. But that's the kind of shit that they want to push out. But how dare they push out like anything else? And the thing was like this movie was like it was like I could write something, anyone could write something better. And that's the thing was marketing, is they decide to push that out. And I understand, okay, if that's gonna make you money and like that's your agenda, but just be like open and honest that that's the agenda you want to push with your company. Don't have this thinly veiled like performative activism, because honestly this movie felt like very much Netflix, like that performative activism.
That sucks.
Yeah. So I mean, they also wonder why they're losing subscribers. Like a lot of people I know are very like being like, once Stranger Things is done, I'll probably like cancel my Netflix.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is now, one of the reasons like back in the day streaming was so great is because you got all these things for super super cheap, and now the fact that there's like 5, 6, 7 multiple streaming services, you're essentially paying what you did pay for cable.
Yeah.
And lots of things, because there are so many competitions now, people are like jumping back and forth from platforms. Like Netflix used to have like all of Friends and like Avatar and like all these things, and like they like leave the platform. Like I can't remember, there was when they had New Girl, and then I remember I started watching it, and then it said like leaving Netflix on this date, and it left and then came back like a couple years later, but like contracts expire. like, it's kind of crazy right now. I think Spider-Man No Way Home is currently on, like, 3 separate streaming platforms. So, like, Sony's just raking in that money because,
so
like...
Sony decided that they were not going to make their streaming service. Sony is making more money by selling their shit to streaming services.
Yeah.
More than these streaming services are actually making.
Yeah.
So Sony was like, oh, y'all want to make streaming services? Cool, you can have this for, like, $1 million. Hey, you can have it too for $1 million.
Yeah.
Like, Sony is just, like, pimping out their stuff.
They're pimping like, everyone.
Why do the work on our end when you can just pay us for it and we can make Morbius with that money? Because it's Morbin time.
Yes, we need more Morbius.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Going back to what has driven this episode. So, HBO Max. Now, one of the big draws with these streaming services was they were going to fight over content that's already put out. So they all decided to heavily invest in original content. And HBO Max has some original content, but there's a difference between HBO and HBO Max. So content that is HBO is, for example, Euphoria. That's HBO. HBO Max is one of the best shows by far of the last year. Our Flag Means Death.
Yep.
And one of the other most enjoyable shows I've watched this year, The Sex Life of College Girls.
So good.
So good. And they have other shows too. But now their HBO and Warner Brothers and Discovery Plus are all merging. And it is the garbage dumpster fires of garbage dumpster fires.
It makes no sense why they all decided to merge.
Because taxes, Amy. They want money. It's taxes. So Warner Brothers made a Batgirl movie. They spent $90 million making this movie. It's not going to be released.
Yes, because they're only going to put out content they can stand behind. The movie's done. Or, like, essentially done.
Yeah, it's all filmed. Like, I think it was it was completely filmed. They were just, like, in the editing process.
Yep.
They've already sunk $90 million. And they had a smaller, unknown, like, she's not unknown, but she, like, is not very big, woman of color as Batgirl. And they're like, nah, we don't need this. And apparently, like, Michael Keaton was in the movie, too.
What?
So you have
to take away Michael Keaton? Oh.
Yeah, so, like, you have a very big name.
Yeah.
Like, Michael Keaton is a prominent white man.
Yes.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that, and then now with this merge, apparently a bunch of these shows that have all been renewed, half of them are in the middle of filming their seasons.
Yep.
Could just be cut. And then they won't even be on the streaming service. Like, you will just be unable to watch these shows.
So where are they going?
They're going nowhere.
So they'll just film shows. Because I know, like, a lot of people, like, two, like, there were 7 shows that were, like, on the chopping block. Two of them being Our Flag Means Death and Sex Lives of College Girls. And we love Renee Raps, and she's on, and, like, she's super big on TikTok, and, like, she's been talking, like, she's been, like, joking about, like, the cancellation and stuff, and I'm like, please don't joke about this, like, please. Please.
I don't believe in parasocial relationships. But I have a parasocial relationship with Renee Rapp. Because we saw her on, like, I don't think she had done many performances of Mean Girls yet.
No.
But she had just kind of taken over the role. And then when I found out she was going to be on Sex Lives of College Girls, I was like, we have to watch this for my girl.
Yeah, and it was very good, and it has lesbian representation, and
Renee Rapp is the lesbian.
Yeah, Renee Rapp is the lesbian, and there's people of color, like she's one of like the main characters. It's a really like
because it's 4 girls, and 2 of them are women of color, and one of them is a lesbian, and then Renee's on again, off again girlfriend is also a woman of color. She's also Lily from Dash and Lily, if you watch that on Netflix, which that they only gave 1 season.
I mean, that was a book, though.
There's, I think, 3 books.
So she had 3 seasons. The show was so cute.
So I'm pretty sure there's either 2 or 3 books. But yeah, and she's absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
And like she like runs the women's center at the college, and like one of the other girls, because the show is produced by Mindy Kaling, and she's like one of Mindy Kaling's insert characters.
Yeah. But she's super good.
But she's super good. She's really funny. And like if like Timothy Chalamet's sister can't save the show, like
who can?
Who can? But that's the thing. And Our Flag Means Death is such amazing LGBTQ like IA plus representation. You have like it's just literally the gay pirate show.
It is. It's the gay pirate show. You got gay men. You got a non-binary actor who is absolutely incredible. They are like my favorite part of the show.
Oh, my favorite part of the show. Jim's a woman? Yee. What do we call you? I like Jim. Okay. And then that's it. They all just are like, yeah.
So.
Exactly. And Jim's story arc, it's not about them like, you know, I hate like when stories always have to focus on coming out, because coming out is such an important part of being a person in our community, but there's more to life than just coming out.
Yes. I mean, it's essentially said that like you will come out for like the rest of your life, but if that's the case, then it's not that interesting, if that makes sense.
Like, Jim's whole storyline is they're avenging their family.
Yeah.
Like, and they are very good with knives. They're just a non-binary knife wielder, and it's hot.
It is.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's great. They're like one of the best characters.
They are.
But like it's people were just like crying out for season 2. Like, the Tumblrification of Twitter that show did was amazing.
Yeah, it really was.
And now they're filming season 2. Sex Lives of College Girls is in the middle of filming season 2. I think they're almost done.
I think so.
And due to this stupid merger, everyone just loses their jobs. Like, they said they're about to lay off like 70% of HBO Max.
Which makes no sense because HBO Max isn't even that old of a platform. I'm pretty sure it came out like maybe like under 2 years ago. The only reason I even know about it is because they came out with a bunch of like Adventure Time specials.
Yeah. And the thing with HBO Max is it actually has a very high if you compare their satisfaction rates, because I was reading this article, they have the second highest satisfaction rate out of all the streaming services.
So
like, it's a good streaming service.
Yeah. So I think this is just like a situation of like companies maybe not like, because HBO Max to me seemed like weird that it was like a separate platform. So I think they maybe should have like integrated it a little bit more, and then obviously like not selling their products to the best of their ability.
Exactly. And we're gonna get Discovery Plus. We're gonna watch The Property Brothers. That's been Discovery Plus's like one of their main promotions. Oh yes, here we have The Property Brothers.
Oh yes. So on when they were doing their like investors call today, they had like what they called their global powerhouse. And the brands in their global powerhouse were HBO, Discovery, CNN, HGTV, Cartoon Network, and then DC. The franchises they highlighted were Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, of course, Discovery Plus, Shark Week, Game of Thrones.
I mean, to be fair, Shark Week is great.
I do enjoy Shark Week. I mean, I haven't watched it since I don't have cable anymore.
Yeah.
But
when I did get to watch it, it was good.
Yeah, it was really good. They have the 90 Day Fiancé universe. Which, like, please, like, look, that show is dramatic and it's interesting to watch. But
do they own TLC then?
I wonder if, like, maybe TLC has, like, sold this to them. Because I think 90 Day Fiancé is, like, technically Discovery, but it's, like, on TLC.
So TLC could be, like, they could be, like, contracting it. But anyways, keep going.
And then there's another one, but the photo cuts it off so I can't see it. But then it's, like, HBO Max, and it says, like, Discovery Plus. And this is what really kicks me. So it says the iconic series and characters. And it leads with Friends, that has not been aired since, like, the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, that was the last episode of that show.
Yeah.
I personally don't care for Friends all that much. I have a lot of people who, like, know and love, live and breathe that show. But, like, you should not be building a platform on a show that no longer airs.
Yeah.
Then it is followed by Fixer Upper, which is I can't read that font, but it's like the HGTV show. Mm-hmm. And then it has The Big Bang Theory. Again, a show that has not been aired for forever and essentially fell off. I used to really like the show growing up because, you know, it was just something kind of like fun and quirky to watch. Now, I mean, if it's on, I'll put it on as background noise. But again, I don't have cable, so I'm not watching it. Then they have The Property Brothers. Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Which, okay, we'll give Guy Fieri his cinematic universe.
Yeah.
That is allowed.
Love the GFS, GVC.
The GVC?
Yeah, thank you. Bless you.
No, we love him. We love him and all his marrying of lesbians.
Exactly.
And then they have Sex and the City, which we all know how that reboot went. Not well.
Well, the thing is, the reboot is an HBO Max original. So, and just like that, the reboot would also be gone. Is also on the chopping block.
Yeah.
I mean, I refuse to watch. I've only seen like the first. So I have watched all of Friends. Friends is like very much what I call a late night hotel room show.
Yeah.
Like if I'm on my vacation and Friends is on, if Friends is playing, I'll put it on because it's something kind of mindless. You relax to. You know, it was very much a product of its time.
Yeah.
It has like terrible representation. But it was a product of its time. It was popular at the time. My sister is like a huge Friends fan. I think some episodes are super funny, but it's a show that's over. It was a product of this time. Big Bang Theory. I liked it at the start, and then it proceeded to get worse. Again, not the best representation. But like, again, it's what I call it a late night hotel show.
Yeah.
Just like for every time I would go on vacation, CSI Miami was always on the TV at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Again, it's a late. I wouldn't seek out the show, but if it's that or something else, I'm gonna click that.
Yeah.
But you can't build a streaming service around something you're not producing any new content.
No.
And that's also, none of those shows are good representation of what the future is. They're representation of what the past is.
Yeah.
So I understand we live in a time where nostalgia is a high seller, but you're not going to progress.
Yeah, and that market is slowly coming to crash because we've seen how these reboots are doing, and they're not doing well. Like, people don't want reboots. The reason why we care about nostalgia so much is because since the world is so crazy, you turn to something that you know is familiar for comfort. And it's nice now because, like, essentially we're adults, so we can now spend our own money on all this, like, paraphernalia. Like, Friends merch is everywhere. You can get, like, Friends parties decorations. You can get all sorts of hoodies. I think you can buy, like, the box set on DVD now again. But, like, this is something that, like, is essentially going to die off. Right?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of shows of, like, our generation are eventually going to become shows that people watch. Like, our, like, kids.
But the thing is, with these reboots, if I love something so much, I'm just going to watch the original. I have not, out of all of the content that I love, not a single reboot I've watched I have enjoyed. Like, obviously nothing I've never enjoyed anything more than the thing I loved, but none of the reboots I've even really liked that much. I watched, I think, the first 5 seasons of Sex and the City. Again, very much product of its time. I refuse to watch and just like that because my favorite character is Samantha, and Samantha's not in it.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, Friends, never watched the reunion. I never watched the Harry Potter reunion, but fuck turf J.K. Rowling, that's why. And that was like my personality as a kid.
Well, it's even like, this is like kind of the same, but it's like, I loved like Avatar: The Last Airbender growing up, and then like when Korra came out, that's essentially like a reboot of the show.
Yeah.
Just like slightly aged up. And to me, I don't think Korra holds up nearly as well as Avatar does. Korra is good.
I would agree.
but it's like it's different. But the issue is that Korra relied so unbelievably it relied heavily on the world that like Avatar set up originally, with also trying to be its own new thing, and they didn't do a good job of balancing it.
And there's differences between reboots and spin-offs, because spin-offs are when things exist in the same universe but are completely different stories.
Yes.
And I understand spin-offs because sometimes, but spin-offs have to be done kind of when the show is still relevant. And then a lot of times with TV shows, you'll see what they're called backdoor pilots, is where the show will completely explore one episode. They'll completely explore something that kind of really has absolutely nothing to do with the main story. And it's if that episode does really well, like that character could get their own show. And you see it a lot. They don't do it as much now because TV shows used to have like 22 episodes a season. Now they have like 8 or 10. So you could have episodes that didn't really have to do with the main story arc. But now, since you have such a condensed episodes, everything is crucial. You can't explore a random thing you can't really have what they're called as bottle episodes.
Yeah.
So a bottle episode, for those who don't know, is an episode where the entire plot takes place in one setting. So the reason why bottle episodes were created is to save money, because constantly changing setting drives the production budget up. And so if you're, for example, if you wanted to do a really, really expensive finale where there's like explosions and stuff, or if you wanted to put together an episode that was going to cost you a lot, you would write a bottle episode bottle episodes can be great in exploring characters as people, and because they heavily have to rely on the dialogue. Like because I've seen a bunch of bottle episodes, and one of the best bottle episodes is actually a Friends one. It's called the episode where no one is ready. They're going to an award show for Joey, but nobody's ready. And the entire episode is just it's not even in both apartments. It's just in Rachel and Monica's apartment. And it's actually a well-written episode. And another one of the best bottle episodes that's ever written is from Breaking Bad. It's the one about the fly.
Yes.
And even Family Guy has one of the best bottle episodes. I think Brian and Stewie are locked in a safe in a bank.
I think so. That sounds right.
Yeah. So I haven't seen that one because I don't like Family Guy, but those episodes are great because they can explore. But now with these such short seasons, you don't even have time to do those.
No, everything, like you said, it becomes so critical, and I miss having long TV seasons. Like I'm currently watching Only Murders in the Building, and that's essentially like a murder mystery podcast show. And the second season's going on right now, and every season gets I believe it's 10 episodes, and we're on episode 8, and there's still so much that has to be answered. And I know it will be because the first season did a really good job of spreading things out. But it sucks because I want to get to know these characters more. And
exactly.
we lose that with I guess the one thing that differs between cable and streaming is since these seasons are produced all at once, they have to get everything done, whereas sometimes cable shows would be shooting the episodes as the season was progressing.
Yeah.
And I think even shows would get canceled mid-season, and you're what are you supposed to do? So at least with streaming, we get to kind of wrap up shows. But at the end of the day, I would like a couple more episodes. I don't think that could hurt.
And that's the thing now, because with the shorter episodes, everything has to be so plot driven. And what makes shows successful is you want people to care for your characters. You want people to love your characters, hate your characters, but you don't get as much I feel like you don't get the attachment that longer seasons would do. And it's fun. It's sometimes fun to have filler episodes don't have to do anything. They may introduce a one-off character who is so funny. That's kind of what we were robbed of. As I'm watching, so I'm on season 10 of Criminal Minds, and each season has kind of an overarching plot, but they're also, as it is technically a procedural show, they have so many episodes where it's just like, this is the entire episode is wrapped up. The story is wrapped up of this episode. Like I watched all of Vampire Diaries until she goes into the coma, and then I stopped after that.
Oh God, you got further than I did.
Yeah, I also watched a lot of Grey's Anatomy, but I stopped. I have not finished any of those really long shows because there's just too many seasons.
Yeah, I feel that. No, we can't all be. I don't know if you ever heard of the anime of One Piece. That is the longest running anime in history. I think it's sitting at like almost 1,000 episodes. And it's going strong. Like, it is still going. And it's one of the best TV shows ever made.
Jeez, did they just give their writers some coke and a dream?
I think the original, this could be totally wrong. I don't know my information on the show, but I think the original like person who started the show is still going on it. And they're literally like, this show won't end until I die. Which, like,
my chat says it's nearly 2,000 episodes.
Oh, okay. So I was also wrong. It's super, super long, but it's a good show. Like, people, I've heard nothing but, like, love and admiration, like, for the characters, and, like, they're constantly just being, like, built upon, built upon, built upon. Mm-hmm. So I miss loving my characters. Yeah. Like, I think one of the reasons also Heartstopper rated so well is, like, that's a graphic novel that was adapted, and it was adapted very well. I mean, I watched the show and then read the graphic novels, so obviously there's some like key moments that you miss out on just because like obviously novels can go like way more in depth.
Yeah.
But it gave me that like more connection to the characters, which like now I watch the show or I see clips and I'm like, my little babies. But we'll never get those connections if Netflix continues to cancel things.
They keep canceling shows.
Stop canceling shows.
Yeah.
Even if the first season's bad.
I know. Let them grow. Characters need to grow. Especially, like, I keep going back to Parks and Rec because I think it's such a great example. But Parks and Rec got really good once they got rid of a character that clearly nobody liked, and then they added 2 characters. Like, when they got rid of Mark Brandanowitz, he was a wet blanket. And then they brought in Adam Scott and Rob Lowe. That made the show, like, absolutely like slam dunk. Yeah,
those seasons are the absolute like peak perfection seasons, and it was nice because we got to literally learn about every single character. Like I felt like no matter what, they did a really good job. Like every character was always included in every single story going on. It was really good.
And that's the thing is the first season it's all it is it's pouring the foundation. It's just one part of the show, and like there you can make. But also Netflix is like, what they do is they cancel these shows after one season because it's cheaper half the time to make a brand new show because they can pay the actors less.
Yeah.
They can pay people less because it's the first new show. And if it's season 2, well, suddenly everyone's asking for more money. So it's frustrating and well, it is incredibly frustrating, and I think with going back to kind of wrap this up, because I know we have been talking for a while, and this one may be going on a little long, so okay. I promise folks we'll get there. My final thought about this is the more and more that greed and corporations algorize their content is going to be the downfall of art. Because I read this tweet today, it's like as soon as they switched from calling it art and entertainment to content is where the downfall began.
100%. Because people are now expecting more for less in shorter amounts of time. Because like now we just binge shows. Yeah, like I think that's really kind of what it's fallen to. That's a great way to put it. So no, it sucks. I would like to be able to enjoy a show and not have to, once I get through the first season, be like, oh, I really hope they continue. Like, I would like more. I would like more fun shows. I would like, obviously, more representation because that's super important. I would just like shows to be given like a better chance. And I am so sick of these greedy, I want to say men, but there's probably some women in there too. These greedy people looking at just like money signs before like anything else. Because yeah, like you said, at the end of the day, the reason why these companies are losing subscribers and losing money isn't because of the products they're putting out. If that was the case, these services would have gone downhill a long, long time ago. Like, Netflix earned people's trust with shows like Stranger Things and Orange is the New Black. But I have never seen a show fall off any harder than Orange is the New Black. I never finished that show. No one talks about that show anymore. And it mainly was because they killed off a very, very prominent gay character in that show. Yeah. And I remember watching, like, sitting there, like, sobbing over that death.
I couldn't watch the show after Poussey died.
Yeah.
Like, she was my favorite character.
I tried to, but, like, the fact that they were also trying to, like, monopolize her death on the show to try to make that, like, the driving force of the next season just, like, sat so wrong with me.
Yeah.
So it just, you're just losing people's trust at this point. And that once you've lost trust, you can't gain it back. No. And that's definitely one thing you absolutely cannot buy back, first and foremost.
So this is a message to HBO. I know, of course, you're listening. HBO
of course, you're listening.
Discovery Plus, I know you're listening. If you so much touch a hair on Our Flag Means Death or on The Sex Lives of a College Girl, I will come into your house and cut up your wigs.
Oh. That's a threat. For legal reasons, it's a joke, but it's a fucking threat. It's a fucking threat.
Because let people have things that make them happy, and those two shows make me happy, and fuck corporate greed.
Truly.
That's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah, I think we're about to see, like, some sort of, like, again, like, another, like, streaming revolution of just, like, all these services plummeting, and they're gonna be like, why are we losing people? Because you're not making shows people want to watch. Yeah. We want to watch these shows. The numbers show it. Somewhat, anyway. They have to.
Yeah.
So stop it. But I don't know how to, like, segue out of that.
Honestly, I will segue for you.
Thank you. Oh.
I don't know what sound a segue makes.
It's more like a... they're electric.
Oh, yeah. But thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this rant and discussion. The best thing you can do is watch shows with representation, talk about shows with representation on social media, cry, scream, shout at the world that we want these shows, we need these shows, we love these shows. You can also consume media, like, just consume art that you enjoy and that makes you happy, and don't let corporations take art from you. And that is the best way to kind of take back the art that made us who we are.
Yeah, that makes us happy, that shaped us. Yeah. As cheesy as it says.
Exactly.
It's like...
So, Amy, why don't you shape the outro?
Oh, that was good. That was good.
Thank you.
What kind of shape do you want it? Square?
Square.
Square. Okay.
Square.
I mean, square. I guess it's like Nicole Kidman says at the end of all her AMC things, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Before every movie, that's what people see. So that's what we want, streaming services. We want heartbreak to feel good while watching you. So keep that in mind. But thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Once again, we're live on Twitch the first and third Thursdays of every month. And if you can't catch us live, don't worry. We upload the episodes the following Thursdays. That's the second and fourth Thursdays of every month. You can keep up with what we're doing on social media, on Twitter at CYTMS Podcast, and you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Can You Take My Shift. You can listen to our lovely voices on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and on YouTube. Wherever you listen to music, you can also listen to our voices. You can find Kelsey at Kelsey Peets on Instagram, Twitter, and at Bolin_KP on Twitch. Yes.
And Kelsey Pete's on TikTok.
Oh, Kelsey Peets on TikTok. Mabi. And you can find me and Chili Amy on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. So that is all I got for the outro. But Kelsey, can you take my shift?
No, I've got to go work on my Steve Bonnet and Blackbeard fanfiction. This one's getting really good. They're gonna go pick out ascots together.
That's adorable. What's it called?
Yeah. Ask me not.
That's cute, actually. I know I put you on the spot, but that was cute.
Thank you.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.